Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Nathan Drinkard. I'm Jay Wise. Thanks for spending some of your time with us. We're on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere in between. If you're looking for us in the video format, you can find us at the A Drink of Wisdom YouTube channel. As always, when we skip a show, it feels like an eternity before we got back in the lab, but we are here. It's great to be back with you, Drink.
Hey, man, and it's great to be back in the lab, baby. We got some stuff to talk about. I can't wait to jump into it. So I ain't gonna hold us up any longer. You know what time it is. It's another day, another dollar, giving the streets what they need. We see what they don't. Absolutely say what they want. Set your dinner plates because it's time to eat. And last but not least, let's talk some sports, baby. Jay, what we got today?
It's episode 55, and we'll bring you the latest on the NBA Western Conference first round playoffs. We're going to dish out some NBA awards, and we're going to continue our NFL draft coverage. But we start in the NBA's Eastern Conference with that first round action. Let me just go down the list real quick. The Miami Heat have opened up a 2-0 lead on the 8th seed Hawks. Game 3 tonight gets underway in about 15-20 minutes. The Boston Celtics also up 2-0, so maybe somewhat of a surprise on the 7-seeded Nets. Got a buzzer-beating Jason Tatum layup to win Game 1. And then really a struggle for Kevin Durant in Game 2. I think it was just 4 for 17. The Bucks and Bulls tied at 1 apiece. Big development in that series. Chris Middleton sprained an MCL, so he's out for that series. That series tied at 1 after DeMar DeRozan had 41 in Game 2. Game 3 also tonight on ABC at 8:30. And last one, the 4 versus 5. Well, that's the one that seems to certainly have been decided, as the Sixers out to a 3-0 lead. Big Game 1 for Tyrese Maxey at 38. And then 2 30-plus, 10-plus games for Joel Embiid. The Raptors don't seem to have much of a chance as we have Game 4 tomorrow afternoon. Drink, whole lot of stuff there, but feel free to go wherever you'd like.
All right, so you say a whole lot of stuff, but I'm going to tell you right now, let's go ahead and do what we call a little consolidation, shall we? This Heat versus Hawks, yeah. Listen, I know the series going to Atlanta, but I'm going to tell you right now. Yeah, that goose might be cooked. You got Jimmy Butler out here scoring 45 points. I don't remember the last time Jimmy Butler scored that many points in a game of this magnitude. And then, I don't know, man. I don't see where the Hawks go after it. I just feel like the Heats, they're just too much for them. They're overmatched. The Hawks are overmatched in here. This is not that lightning in the bottle that they had last year. They probably had some breaks last year, and they probably caught some people slipping last year because they was the Hawks. Well, guess what you don't get the next year? Catch people slipping. So you get their best punch, and as you can see, the Hawks is struggling a little bit with that best punch. So I think Miami going to go ahead and take care of business with this one. I'm going to skip over 2-7. I'm going to come back to 2-7 because I actually got some words for that. I'm going to skip over 3-6, and I'm going to go straight to the other one that's done. The 4-seeded 76ers versus the 5th seed Toronto Raptors. Let's go ahead and give them a round of applause for participating, the Toronto Raptors, because y'all done. You're done. You even done even when James Harden don't show up. That's how you know you're done. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap them up like a Christmas present and get them out of here. Hey, thank you for coming, Siakam, Fred VanVleet, OG, Scott Barnes, and the rest of the crew. We appreciate it. We'll see you next year. Now, going back to some series that actually matter. Number 2, Boston Celtics against the number 7 Brooklyn Nets. Here's the series that I think we both agreed that we thought was going to be probably the most compelling in the East. And Game 1 did not let it down, like you said, a buzzer beater by Jason Tatum. So that didn't let us down. Game 2 was a bit of a letdown if you're a Nets fan, just because, listen, you seen the outstanding performance that Kyrie put on in Game 1. Game 2, you probably felt as if, hey, Durant probably going to give you a little more, and he actually gave you a lot less. So it's kind of concerning. Now, this series is going over to Brooklyn for Game 3 and 4, so it might change. But I'm gonna tell you, Jay, I'm a little worried. I've never seen, well, I'm not gonna say I've never, but it's been a while since I've seen Durant look so flustered, so befuddled, so dare I say average. So listen, this Celtic defense is for real. I'm not gonna undersell that. But when you got a guy like you mentioned before the show, when you're one of those guys that's brought up in the best player in the world conversation, oh yeah, you're gonna have to eat this. You're gonna have to eat this. In a performance like this, you're gonna have to eat. If you KD, if you Giannis, if you LeBron, you're gonna have to eat this. It is what it is. You in the first round of the playoffs, it's no such thing as, oh well, hey, a bad game. If you, even though you're the lower seed, you lose to Boston, then whispers gonna start about you, KD. We don't know, man. Don't let us find out you was riding the coattails in Golden State instead of actually coming out here and being the man. Now, I got it. There's a little harsh. Injuries, all that going on. I got all that. But at the end of the day, everybody believed that Kevin Durant is the best player on the court for both of these teams. And right now, it don't look that way.
Hey, what they say, heavy is the head that wear the crown.
Heavier than a mud lover. Oh, yeah, all day and twice on Sunday. So with that said, like my partner said, listen, you wearing the crown, well, somewhat wearing the crown, we need you to play like it. Because if that was LeBron playing like what we're seeing right now, we know what the headlines would be. And we know Skip will be out here probably buy a new Bentley just because he know what time it is. So you got to eat that, right? But like right now, I can safely say right now, Kyrie is the best player on Brooklyn, and Jason Tatum seems like the best player in this series. If I'm wrong, show me where I'm wrong at, but we ain't been watching the same games because that's what I see right now. So at some point, Durant is going to have to insert himself and take over if Brooklyn going to have a chance to come back and win this series. But right now, that defense got him befuddled. Now going to the next series where we're talking about best player of the world again, we got Giannis Bucks against the Chicago Bulls. And look, here's the deal. This series tied 1-1. And the Bucks in game one came out. That was probably the best game one I've seen out of the Bucks in quite some time. Because usually game one is the game where they're going to show enough, mail in a ham sandwich and call it a day. But they actually came out with a lot of intensity and defense in game one. And even though the final score didn't depict that, I thought they dominated game one. And going into game two, I thought we was gonna get that photocopy, but we did not. Now a lot of things did go awry for Milwaukee in game two. Chris Middleton, like you said, MCL, he out. Bobby Portis got elbowed in the eye and he couldn't see, so he ended up missing the rest of the game. And then the Bulls I would say the Bulls came out with some fight. At the end of the day, they came out with some fight. DeRozan came out 41 leading the team. And the thing about the Bulls is this, and what I do like about the Bulls, I don't trust them as contenders, but I do like how scrappy they is when Caruso and the others, I'm not talking about Levine or DeRozan or Vucevic, but the others, when they get in the nitty gritty, as they say, and get down and start getting those loose balls and getting out and running, that's their game. You could tell that's Billy Donovan's game. You can tell he wants them to run. When they have to run that half court set, that's where they get into a problem. And that's what they did in game two from our perspective, was they just kept the Bucks running. And, you get easy points because you catch this guy out of a spot, you catch this guy out of a spot, et cetera, et cetera. Now that the series is switching to Chicago, we'll see how that affects the series. I do think with Middleton out, Bobby Portis might miss this game. I think that will be a blow. I think, honestly, the Bulls probably win game three. I'm feeling like they win game three. And then I think the Bucks take it from there. The Bucks probably, okay, this is enough of this crap. And they make it happen in six. But with those two, so as far as the East go for me, Jay, you got two series that ain't worth watching. And then you got two series that still got us entertained, still got us involved. And so that's how I'm looking at it, man. But yeah, I'm not gonna waste nobody's time trying to sit here and recap the Heat and Hawks or that doggone 76ers and Raptors. Just a waste of the time. Over to you, Jay.
Yeah, I think Heat Hawks, obviously, once the series gets to 3-0, that's pretty much it. So I guess I'll give Atlanta a shot tonight to punch back and make this look like a series. But obviously, if you lose game 3, it's no one's ever done it before. So until they do, I'm gonna go with the 3-0 team. But to that, look, for the one takeaway I really want to highlight, and I don't think this guy is getting enough heat, because like when he out here balling out of control, they heap all the praise on him. But I ain't heard much criticism of Trae Young lately. And this series has been this ain't been very good. This is a guy who, last season you alluded to it a little bit. Maybe they snuck up on some folks. That was really not a shining moment for the Philadelphia 76ers in that conference finals series. And so you have Atlanta in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they've been a disappointment this year.
That was the semifinals, right?
When they played the Sixers, that was the semifinals. I'm saying they advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals. But then,
gotcha.
Look, you have that, and then you come this year, you need the play in to get in, and now you look, and as usual, the play in, you make the 8th seed, and hey, you got some brooms ready because we need them. We need to start sweeping. So, but Trae Young, this has been highly suspect, and that's putting it mildly. You go 1 for 12 in a playoff game. Oh, you deserve to you should get crushed. And I don't know if he did. I don't know if I heard a lot, but one thing I heard was like, well, he just did the play in a couple of days ago. Maybe that was some. Well, who the hell cares about that? He got a day off. Come back here and perform.
Yo, that's crazy. I wish I would have heard that comment, because people didn't say that about the Lakers last year when they got ousted in the first round.
This is why I can't listen to certain individuals in the media, because that's the type of content you get, unlike on this program. So not only that, was he better in game 2? Obviously he was, because you can't get much worse. But how about this? This guy, we look at him as the next. Well, some people do. This is the next coming of Steph Curry. Oh, really? Why are you 2 for 17 from 3 in this series? No one's interested in that type of lifeless performance from beyond the arc. So, I mean, this is disappointing. I'm not saying you got to win the series, but could we do something? Do we have to get swept after making the Eastern Conference Finals? We talk about Trae Young, you talk about Luka. I'm a Luka guy more than a Trae Young guy. Trae Young had a better season last year because of the Eastern Conference Finals. This is pretty bad. Quickly now to the 76ers and Raptors. I think the emergence of Tyrese Maxey playing at this level makes Philadelphia a serious championship contender, because now James Harden can fully, for the most part, focus on the facilitation role that he's really excelled at in the past couple of seasons with Brooklyn and now with Philly. And I think his scoring, I don't think he's quite the same scorer as he was in his Houston days. I think we can say that. So with Tyrese Maxey elevating his game from scoring the ball, if he can keep that up, and I think that's a big if at this early in his career, but I think that's gonna be key for Philadelphia moving forward, because they definitely done with Toronto. And by the way, you get Miami and Philadelphia in the next round, that's gonna be a heck of a series. Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid. That's gonna be fun to watch. The Bucks Bulls. I'm inclined to agree with you in totality. I do think Game 3 is highly critical for Chicago, because you might think perhaps maybe Milwaukee's reeling a little bit. No Middleton. They obviously got to adjust to that. If Portis has to sit, that's a huge deal. So I think Chicago's is very key if they want to win the series. Might want to win Game 3, because I think by Game 4, I think Milwaukee will be fully adjusted. And by the way, we talked about this a little bit in the pregame. That you don't get to slide Milwaukee. I don't want to hear the excuses. Chris Middleton, I like Chris Middleton. He means a lot. He can carry you on any given night. But Giannis is still out there. Drew Holiday's still out there. You still got all the other guys. They are fully healthy. minus Middleton and, Portis. We don't know his status right now, but they got enough on that team. Giannis is capable of dominating. Drew Holiday's capable of playing better. We need Drew Holiday to do a little bit more on offense. But
Right.
but also when you look at this series, I really think Milwaukee has the personnel to do things on the defensive end, and their defense was great in game one. And they held Vucevic, Levine, and DeRozan did next to nothing. They were all atrocious. Now, they were all a lot better in game two, but when you look at Wes Matthews, when you look at Drew Holiday, and when you look at Giannis, and when you go on down the line, they have the defensive personnel to play, to replicate what they did in game one without maybe some of the scoring punch that Middleton can provide. So I think Milwaukee, and I think another thing about this that I think you'd agree with, Milwaukee can, within a series, they come and go. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to tell. They can go a game or two, as we saw against Brooklyn last year, where they just come out, they just stink up the joint. And then you're like, what is this? Like, you over here like, Budenholzer, are you sure? Would you like to continue coaching? Because this is awful. But then like 2 games later, it's like, man, they look like the NBA title contenders we thought they were. So I think there's a little bit of that going on. They played, I thought they were really good in game one in the first half. But since then, we haven't seen the championship Bucks. So I think the best is yet to come from them. And I still think they win this series. Game 3 is going to be big, but I do think it's more important for Chicago. As long as Milwaukee can split in Chicago, I think they'll be fine. And of course, what looked like the best series, it ain't turned out that way so far. But I'm not out on Brooklyn just yet, but I think there is cause for concern. The biggest cause for concern is the physicality of the Boston Celtics, I think, has really bothered Brooklyn. And particularly, I think it's bothered Kevin Durant. They've just been up in him. They've been making things difficult. Everything's been contested. And this is one of the things I've been talking about probably the past couple of years. Ever since the Achilles injury, his explosiveness just hasn't been there. It ain't been the same. He's nowhere near the same player driving to the basket. He's been able to compensate because there are very few players that can bother his jump shot because of his elite length. Now, what Boston has, they have a big starting lineup. When you look at Smart, Jaylen, when you have Jaylen Brown as a 2 guard, you got a big starting lineup. So you got Tatum out there, Horford, Tice, Williams when he plays. And so I think, especially with a guy like Jason Tatum, he has the length to be able to bother him a bit more. And I think that's been a big part of this. And plus, the Celtics play great team defense. When KD drives, he's trying to get to his spot. They got somebody on the weak side coming in to dig on him and rip the ball away. And that's been a huge problem for Brooklyn. They haven't been strong with the basketball. And because of that, they're down 2-0. I think they can still come back, but they have to be stronger with the ball. KD can't have no more of these 4 for 17 performances. It looks real cute when you put up 27, but then you dig deeper. You went 4 for 17. You had 18 from the free throw line, and you and Kyrie combined were 8 for 30. And even though, as you like to say, Kyrie, I think he deserves a few flowers for the game 1 performance. I think he did. I thought he was outstanding. But as usual, there's got to be a sideshow over here. We know, look, you have to go into Boston understanding they don't like you, and that's putting it mildly. You have to understand that. These guys are going to be charged up to have a bunch of nonsense to say. And you have to be above that. I believe you do. Because I know you had an example for me before the show, and maybe like, oh, we all tired of this. But at the end of the day, Drink, none of these fans are going to do anything. They're going to stay. If a fan comes out there and really wants to do something, then they dumb it in a box of rocks or whatever. I need a better phrase than that. But they're not very bright. They're not very bright at all. But no one's doing that. So for Kyrie to be over here flipping people off and doing all that engagement is just nonsense. It's a sideshow. It takes away from his greatness as a basketball player. And it's not helpful. I don't think that helped him in game 2 out here. Oh yeah, I'm just not putting up with this. Kind of like what we talked about with Westbrook, like what he had to say. These guys, come on, guys. Play the game of basketball. Leave the fans in the stands. So hopefully game 3 and 4, he can get himself together. KD as well. They got to regroup. But the thing about it is Brooklyn's been in both games. They very easily could have won game one. It was the last second buzzer beating layup. And like I said before the show, I think the role players have done enough to, I think guys like Bruce Brown, he was great in game two. I think Dragic has been good enough. Drummond and Claxton have been doing a little bit for you. And those guys have got to continue to play well to kind of keep the boards even. Because I think that's the biggest area of concern outside of the physicality bothering Kevin Durant. That they can't get dominated on the boards. So I think Brooklyn can come back, but they obviously got a few things to work on, and they have to win. They got to win tomorrow night. That's the first step.
The Heat versus Hawks has been delayed for 30 minutes because of a suspicious package that got delivered to the stadium. I mean, to the arena, I should say. My bad.
At least it's not COVID.